Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the Global AM News on television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agmofwegbe, reminding our viewers that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our 247 broadcast. Vice President Kashif Shettima has called on nations worldwide to take bold, practical steps to combat climate change, describing it as a global threat that requires urgent, country-specific responses. He made the call during the official launch of the Ethiopia's Green Legacy Initiative in Addis Ababa, where he is on a state visit while expressing admiration for the country's determined climate efforts. Vice President Kashif Shettima praised the initiative as a powerful example of tackling environmental challenges with clarity, courage, and conviction, noting that climate change cannot be solved through discussions alone, but demands concrete actions tailored to each nation's ecological realities. The presidency has defended President Bola Tinubu's ongoing state visit to St. Lucia, describing it as a landmark diplomatic and cultural mission. In a statement signed by a special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the presidency said in the wake of uninformed comments regarding the president's historic state visit to the country, it is necessary to clarify the purpose of the trip. Onanuga further said the visit is aimed at reviving Nigeria's ancestral and strategic ties with St. Lucia and the wider Caribbean community. In another development, the presidency has debunked reports circulating that the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has been replaced by a special advisor to the President on Policy Coordination, Hadiza Bala Usman. Reacting to the report, Special Advisor to President Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, in a statement described the trendy report as fake and advised the public to disregard it. The media has been awash with reports that Akume has been appointed chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, to replace Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. The national coordinator of the Southeast Renewed Hope Agenda, Beloson Chukwu Enwere, has affirmed that President Bola Tinubu holds the Southeast region in high regard and remains committed to advancing its development and economic growth. He made the remarks in Umuahia, Abia State capital, during the inauguration and empowerment of small business owners, indigenous persons, and women as part of Renewed Hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu's administration. Enwere noted that the president is determined to empower citizens in the southeastern states and ensure the region is fully included in the national development agenda. And now time to turn to other stories for you. The federal government says plans are ongoing to begin manufacturing of boats in the country in a bid to phase out rickety vessels and curb incidents of boat mishaps. Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Shippers Council, Pius Akuta, stated this in an interview in Abuja, where he said the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy and the Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority were working tirelessly to minimize the level of accidents on the inland waterways. The federal government says it is currently building 6 cancer excellence centers across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country for early detection, treatment, and management of all cancer cases. Minister of State for Health, Isiaq Salako, disclosed this in Abeokuta, Ogun State capital, while launching the OncoSeek Cancer Screening Test, an early cancer screening diagnosis test which formed part of a workshop on the development of national nuclear medicine guidelines and policy. He noted that the increasing burden of cancer in the country demands the deployment of all solutions and all management possibilities to tackle the challenge. And still on health matters, the federal government has announced plans to review its healthcare policy and for civil servants. The disclosure was made during a free medical screening exercise for civil servants in Abuja, held as part of activities marking the 2025 Civil Service Week. It noted that a more responsive and up-to-date framework is necessary given the rising cost of drugs and persistent gaps in the delivery of healthcare services. Suspended Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has urged his supporters to accept the terms of his peace deal with the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike in good faith. Governor Fubara stated this at a meeting with members of his simplified family in Port Harcourt 24 hours after the Abuja peace deal. Fubara said there is no price too big to pay for peace, apparently in reaction to criticism of the peace deal by some people who accused him of surrendering to alleged intimidation. The national chairman of Advanced Democratic Party, ADP, Yabagi Sani, has called on the National Assembly for the removal of the power to appoint chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission as well as resident electoral commissioners from the president. He made this call in an interview in Abuja, saying in the course of amending the Constitution, the National Assembly should look into the portions for the nation's democracy to be properly grounded. Sani also advocated for a review of the section of the Constitution that empowers the President to appoint the Inspector General of Police. Enugu State Governor Peter Mba has debunked the speculations that he is leaving the People's Democratic Party (PDP), stating clearly that he remains in the party. The governor issued the rebuttal at an interactive session with the members of the Nigeria Guild of Editors (NGE) in Enugu State. While acknowledging the challenges of facing the PDP, Governor Mba pointed out that the party is not the only one encountering crisis in the country, expressing optimism that the PDP would soon resolve its problems. Let's go to Lagos State now, where the government has reiterated its dedication to promoting food safety and hygiene across the state through rigorous health screening of food handlers, regular water quality tasting and testing, as well as intensified public awareness campaigns. Speaking during the commemoration of World Food Safety Day, Folarin Theophilus Ajayi, Director of Environmental and Occupational Health and Safety, said the state had taken proactive measures to ensure that foods consumed by residents complies with international safety standards. Ajayi emphasized that the States and Safe Plates Initiative (SPI), signed into law by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in July last year, remains a pivotal strategy in achieving this objective. This is Global Television, and you're watching the live broadcast of the Global AM News. When the rest of the news returns shortly, South Africa's second largest party threatens exits from unity government. We have those details from the foreign scene as well as more stories from business and sports segments for you. Please do stay with us. Thank you so very much for staying with us, everyone. The second part of this news broadcast now returns with business, where President Bola Tinubu has ordered a temporary pause in the implementation of the controversial Financial Reporting Council Amendment Act 2023, which imposed new annual dues on large private companies classified as public interest entities. The decision, according to the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, follows months of sustained pressure from the private sector and a technical review initiated by the ministry. Stakeholders had expressed concern over the disproportionate compliance burden and financial risk the Amendment Act posed to non-listed companies. Meanwhile, the federal government has inaugurated a committee to draft a comprehensive guideline for the implementation of the public-private partnership project. Minister of Education Dr. Olatunji Lausa inaugurated the committee in Abuja. The committee, chaired by Minister of State for Education Suwaiba Said Ahmed, is expected to submit its final report within 3 months. The newly appointed president of the African Export-Import Bank, also called Afreximbank, George Elombi, has pledged to prioritize transformation of Africa's trade structure and overhaul of key structure and infrastructure such as seaport terminals and power stations as part of his vision to sustain and deepen the bank's mandate. Speaking at a press conference following his unanimous appointment at the Afreximbank annual meetings in Abuja, Elombin said he would continue to uphold the treaty establishing Afreximbank with a clear focus on transforming Africa's trade structure. He emphasized that his agenda will focus on strategic structure that enables trade, highlighting export processing zones, seaports, terminals, power stations, and human capital. And now to the power sector, where the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has announced it is energizing two newly installed power transformers at its 330, 132, and 33 kilovolts Benin Kebbi transmission station in Kebbi State. Spokesperson of the company in the Nemba made this known in a statement, saying that the 100 megavolt amperes and 150 megavolt amperes transformers were energized just this last week. Deputy National Chairman of the Nigerian Institution of Highway and Transportation Engineers, Bola Mudishiru, has raised concerns over Nigeria's infrastructure stock, stating that it currently stands at just 30% of the country's gross domestic product (GDP), which is far below the 70% benchmark recommended for middle-income economies. Mudishiru disclosed these while delivering a keynote address on the theme Nigeria Transportation Infrastructure, Navigating Progress, Challenges and Opportunities for Sustainable Growth at the 2025 Public Lecture and Induction Ceremony of New Engineers organized by the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Lagos Branch, in collaboration with the institution. The Director General of the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, Edwin Harris, has called on civil society organizations and national authorities, as well as policymakers and development partners, to renew their commitment to the collective fight against money laundering and terrorist financing in the sub-region. Speaking at the opening of the regional sensitization seminar for civil society organizations on anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism requirements held in Lagos, Harris emphasized the strategic role of civil society in shaping policies, influencing public attitudes, and advocating for sustainable and anti-corruption reforms. He disclosed that the group has disbursed $300,000 in 2025 to support 12 civil society organizations across West Africa in their advocacy work on asset recovery and financial crime prevention. On the foreign scene, the second largest party in South Africa's coalition government, the Democratic Alliance, says it is not scared to walk away from the coalition. At a press conference in Cape Town, the party's Federal Council chairperson, Helen Zille, stated that the Democratic Alliance is not afraid to go for what she called the nuclear option.
The announcement was a fresh blow to the government of national unity, in which the Democratic Alliance is the second largest party, just days before it marks its first anniversary. President Cyril Ramaphosa of the African National Congress, ANC, launched the National Dialogue this month to address the country's top issues, from high unemployment to crime. However, the initiative has been criticized by the Democratic Alliance and others, with the party's leader, Johnson Hussein, saying it was nothing more than a waste of time and money.
So this is the second big strike, and believe me, we discussed at length a motion of no confidence in the president, and there was a significant debate about it, and that is not off the table. If the president shows that he's indistinguishable from the corrupt RET faction in his party, then, well, there's no point in being in a coalition with him at all, because he is exactly the same as the others. So we're saying to him, don't test us, because we're prepared to use the nuclear option.
The government of national unity was formed after the ANC failed to win an outright majority in the June 2024 elections for the first time ever. Uyi Agmofwegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, says Iran will likely be able to begin to produce enriched uranium in a matter of months, despite damage to several nuclear facilities from U.S. and Israeli attacks. Kabir Hassan has details.
The United Nations nuclear watchdog chief stated these days after U.S. President Donald Trump insisted the month's attack has set Iran's nuclear ambition back by decades.
Iran had a very vast, ambitious program, and part of it may still be there, and if not, there is also the self-evident truth that the knowledge is there, the industrial capacity is there. Iran is a very sophisticated country in terms of nuclear technology, as is obvious.
Israel launched a bombing campaign on Iran nuclear and military sites on June 13, saying it was aimed at keeping Iran from developing a nuclear weapon, an ambition the Islamic Republic has consistently denied. Hassan Kabir reporting for Global TV News.
Thank you so very much, Kabir, for your reporting there. Now, as part of response to U.S. strikes on its nuclear facilities, the Iranian foreign minister has called on the United Nations Security Council to recognize the Israeli regime and the United States as the initiators of the recent act of aggression against Iran and their subsequent responsibility, including compensation and reparation. In a letter to United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and President of the United Nations Security Council Caroline Rodriguez-Burkett on June 28th, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said the UN Security Council should hold the U.S. and the Zionist regime accountable for aggression against Iran and prevent the recurrence of heinous and serious crimes. Let's turn to sports now for some excitement. Nigeria Super Falcons will square off against Ghana's Black Queens in a crucial friendly fixture in Casablanca as both West African giants fine-tune their preparations for the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON. The counter represents the final preparatory match for both teams before the continental showpiece commences on July 5 in Morocco. For the 9-time African champions, the clash against their perennial rivals serves as a crucial test ahead of their quest for a 10th WAFCON title, having dominated the competition since its inception as a tournament in 1998. Away from Africa, Saudi Pro League giant Al Hilal has tabled a stunning €50 million per season contract offer for Victor Osimhen, while Napoli have ordered the Nigerian striker to report for pre-season training as his future remains uncertain. The 26-year-old has never been closer to leaving Napoli, with transfer market expert Mano Agnello, who specializes in Napoli, revealing that the former Lille forward has been the subject of a massive offer from the Saudi Arabian club. The extraordinary salary offer comes as Napoli has reportedly directed Osimhen to report for preseason training ahead of the 2025-2026 season. Valencia defender Christian Mosquera has agreed on personal terms with Arsenal ahead of a possible move this summer. The Gunners have already seen an opening offer of around €14 million for Mosquera rejected. However, it is understood that Valencia is willing to do a deal for a fee in excess of €20 million. Well, we'll continue to follow the money here for you as far as sports go. But thank you for watching. That's how we'll bring it to a close here on the Global AM News. A quick reminder that you can find us on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes 276. Remember that you can follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG as well as other handles as you now see on your screen. Download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for all Android and iOS devices to keep track of our 247 broadcast. I'm Uyag Mofwebe, thanking you for watching, and Global Morning Monday's edition begins right now.
know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android.
Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. Well, what more can we say? It's a Monday, and we're grateful for knowing that you've made up your mind, you've made that decision to be with us here this morning. It's Global Morning, the first for the business week, and again, it's a delight coming your way today to engage with you for what looks like another 3 hours. I'm Uyi Agumofwebe, and my gorgeous colleague, well, is here to add color.
Okay, right now I am blushing. I am blushing.
Isn't that what women do all over the world?
That's what women do all over the world. We
Right.
love compliments, you know. That's something that most women don't get often,
Right.
especially when they're been so long in marriage. The man forgets to compliment.
Yeah, familiarity factor.
Exactly. You said it yourself. All right, it's a beautiful Monday morning, and I am Jumai Manson, and it's great to be here on Global Morning, sitting beside my amazing colleague, no other than Uyagbo Ofwegbe. Hi.
Hi. Well,
The thing is, you know, just to add something, you know, just it's better you compliment so you can get a nice compliment back.
right.
Most people forget to compliment their wives when she has an amazing hairdo, when she goes all out to fix her nails, she has
Right.
on a very new hijab, she wears, and they just, okay, hi,
I'll cook something nice.
or cook something and still say, oh, that's delicious. When was the last time you gave that?
Well,
You're the wrong person to ask.
No, I'm not.
Is our cameraman I should be asking?
I do that a lot because you see, food matters a lot to men, right? Especially within the context of marriage, right? Knowing that, again, it takes a lot for a woman to go all the way out
Yes,
to get
it
the full
does.
ingredients,
Yes, it does.
ensure she cooks the right thing for
Yes,
you,
it does.
and all of that. And you know what they say, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Yeah, they say that, but I think it's much more to that. I think individuals need to understand that it takes much more
Than food.
Yes, much more than food. Once you do not bruise his ego, you show him that respect.
Right.
We're Africans. Let's not get it twisted when they say a woman has to measure up with the man. No. In Africa, we have morals, we have values.
Even those we call the children of Mr. Femi, I mean the feminists.
Don't crack me up this morning. But the truth is,
Right.
all the same, for as much as you do not bruise his ego, because for both gender, men and women, they do a lot. But you know, the man, he carries all that weight on his shoulder. You should show that appreciation. Do not bruise his ego. Encourage him. And it's a verse-of-this thing. Some men forget that. They feel because I do all of that, you should, you know, do much more than you can. But at the same time, as a woman, there should be a balance. But
That's right.
you also, for as much as you want to give him all the food in the world, that's respect, which is reciprocal for both of you. It's
Right.
very important.
Yeah, of course it is, and hopefully we continue to not only understand these very important factors, but live by them as well. So Juma, it's a new week. It's Monday. Last week was at least eventful.
Yes.
Quite a number of things happened. Of course, we've seen the president also jet out of Abuja to St. Lucia now. That trip in itself has created a lot of controversies, especially when you look at it from the standpoint of what Mr. Peter Obi also said. I mean, the presidential candidates in the 2023 general election, who said that, look, that this was just a waste of time and money, that the president's trip is not properly aligned. It's misplacement of priority and all of that. But again, as is always the case, the presidency, through the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, has come to say, look, this trip is very important because they say, first of all, it is strategic, even though Mr. Onanuga didn't mention exactly what the specific strategy is. They also say that it is ancestral because Nigeria has this ancestral tie with that country. So the president is not wasting time, he's not wasting energy,
Resources.
he's not wasting money and stuff like that. But again, we're going to just let that be where it is, because whether you like it or not, that trip has been made. If anything, we're only expecting the safe return of the president back into the country. It's also during this week that we saw, for example, reconciliation, maybe the most, if you like, historic in recent history, politically speaking, in Nigeria, between Mr. Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and his before now estranged political godson, Siminalayi Fubara. We understand the president intervened. Both gentlemen have reconciled.
Yes.
We listened to them. Wike said, look, we can work together now. Then the suspended governor also said that there's no price too big to pay for peace.
Exactly.
So beyond politics, I think that's something of value we should take away.
Yeah, it is. And at the same time, he said something very vital when, you know, following on this issue between the amazing minister of the FCT, so and of course his political godson, like you mentioned, Siminalayi Fubara. He said it's not targeted at him. It's other individuals in river states that feel as if they own part of the resources and all of that. It's not targeted at him. But unfortunately, he got caught up in the web and all of that, being misadvised by some individuals. But you should take away that in some politicians like him see that, okay, hey, let's do this for the benefit of River State and for the people of River State. Let's forge ahead so that we'll have, you know, so that individuals of River States will have something to see and know that, hey, we're together in this. We don't want division in the state. And it's a matter of priority to place the individuals of River State first. It's very important that we see that. And I think that's a take home for most people. It's a take home. It is a take home.
And as I say, you can't make progress of any kind in an atmosphere of rancor.
No, you
So
cannot.
when you hear Siminalayi Fubara say that there's no price too big for peace, for whatever it's worth, because we understand that his supporters, you know, they have what they call the simplified family that has been behind him very strongly the entire time. We understand they are split now because they feel the governor has surrendered his, if you like, so easily, and they feel it was a wrong move. But the man says, again, this is not the time to find out who is wrong, who is right.
Very
we
true.
need to find peace so our state can make progress.
And move forward.
Yes, and we understand that even the budget for 2025, which has become controversial in the states right now, also made provision for the return of Siminalayi Fubara, his reinstatement and all of that. So I think this is, for whatever it's worth, historic and is a game changer for the politics of River State in particular.
Yes, it is.
And for 2027 in general. Incidentally, that's one of the things we're discussing today, especially as it has to do with the PDP, the crisis within the party, and then how it affects 2027. All right, so much to talk about, Jumai.
So much to talk about, but I'm glad at the same time that everyone should understand, even if the Simi family, like you mentioned, do not understand that. You know, sometimes you want to fight a cause where you feel do not surrender when you're not wrong. Do not surrender, but it takes a bigger person to understand that, hey, peace comes first than any other thing, like you mentioned. And I think it's forging ahead and moving forward, which is for the greater good of River States, basically. And yes, you're right, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to these issues. But we'll be following up on that story and see how well it plays out, and of course the balance in which it brings. And for individuals to actually see this as a role model, other individuals, politicians who have record within themselves, they should see it as peace should be the #1 factor. And of course, the individuals in whom you represent are the #1 factor when it comes to all of these issues at hand. Well, hopefully it's for the greater good, and let's just see how well this whole thing plays out, and which I am very happy with. At least there's now peace now. We're done with that Wike story, and for Bar, it will now go to sleep. Very important.
Well, I think there's no better time to sleep than now. I mean, borrowing Jumai's word this morning. We're taking a break now, everyone. When we return, Juma and I will turn to the papers for you, bring you all of those big and sizzling headlines from across our national dailies. Please don't go away.
All right, you are welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning on Global Television. And yes, it is the newspaper review segment. And we'll be starting with the first paper of the day. It is the New Telegraph. And above the nameplate, it says, contract staff, Tier 1 banks outsounding course up 35% to 119.9 billion naira. And of course, on the nameplate, it says Tinubu empowers MDAs to approve project under 20 billion naira. And here it says, Ganjuje, it will be relief for us if Kwakwaso joins APC, says NNPC. And then it says, breaches, NHIA sanctions 49 healthcare facilities, 47 HMOs. And that read is on page 27. And then next it says, UN nuclear chief, Iran could start enriching uranium for bomb within months. And you can find that read on page 4. Aminu Dantata to be buried beside wife in Medina today on 26. I mean, his soul rest in perfect peace.
Right.
And the Star story there reads, PDP crisis intractable as confusion, mayors scheduled NEC meeting. And the writer there reads, Governor Umba, Southeast reserves right to review future for PDP if. And we need dedicated members to rebuild PDP ahead 2027, and that's from Bode George. And below the feet of the New Telegraph, it reads, lawyers seek legal constitutional reforms to end rights abuse. And here it says on page 3, minister to step down, propose $50 baggage handling fee. And it says Lagos, Abuja, already world's most expensive airports. By-elections, litmus test for opposition parties, and that you can find on page 9 and 10. Security forces rescue 13 abducted Benue Link passengers, and you can find that on page 2 and 3. And the writer says, victory over terrorists, others certain. That's from the Chief of Army Staff. And it says, security vote, SIRAP threatens legal action against governors. And below that feet there, it reads, everything packaging sheds plastics into food. And that's from a study. And you can find that on page 26. Lawyers seek legal constitutional reforms to end rights abuse. Now, for you to be well abreast on the issues making round, go out and get yourself a copy of the New Telegraph. And up next, we will be running us through the Punch newspaper.
All right, let's take you through the Punch real quick, even though it's not quite loaded. Just one headline we find there. It says, just adjacent the nameplate of the Punch. Oh, we have one above the nameplate as well. Let's begin from the top, all right? It has a kicker that says, Hurricane Tinubu, APC launches fresh moves to pull 5 governors. Now, did I hear you say, when will these defections end? Well, I have no idea, but you can read up those details here on the Punch newspaper. When you pick it up today on page 21, that's where you have those details. Adjacent to the nameplate, there's a headline here that also has a kicker that reads, Wike versus Makinde. Here, tensions mount as PDP holds NEC meeting today. That's a subject of controversy because there's a split between whether that convention should hold today or not. That informs the kicker, Wike versus Makinde. However, the writer says BOT summons emergency meeting ahead of disputed NEC APC marks PDP, says party is dead. Okay, well, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper for you now.
All right, now the Guardian newspaper, not much news there, but we have just one. And it says here on page 6, it says, old rivalries hobble PDP's lifeline. NEC meeting. Just go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast. And just flip to page 6 and you find out what all of that is all about. Next, the Daily Times.
All right, with the Daily Times, we move on to the one above the name. Plays quickly with a picture of Peter Obi. It reads, be sensitive to sufferings of poor Nigerians. Peter Obi tells Tinubu. Those details await you on page 9 of the Daily Times newspaper. Then the Star headline tells us 500 billion naira maintenance deficit plagues Nigeria's bad roads. Those interesting details are on page 2 of today's issue of the Daily Times newspaper. I will bring it down a little now for you. Ex-police IG Arase promotes community policing. Shareholders reject CBN control of unclaimed dividends, demand reform. Tinubu St. Lucia visit rekindles African-Caribbean ties. Ex-Nigerian footballer, Europe-based partner arrested in drugs busts. This is quite a concern, really.
Yes, it is.
This issue of course, it's no longer news that drug trafficking has become a phenomenon,
yes,
which all the stakeholders are running around, walking around the clock to fight off. However, it's interesting and also disturbing at the same time when you hear celebrities, whether in sports, in movie, in music, all of them jumping into these drug issues. Some of them even in, celebrity media personalities jumping into drugs, and you're wondering, how did we get to this point? Some say it's greed, others say, well, it's just the time we live in.
Let's rewind. Last week, 26th, was a day that was celebrated by the UN, talking about saying no to drug abuse and illicit trafficking. And of course, the EFCC jumped, the NDLEA, of course, we saw what played out. They're doing amazingly fantastic when it comes to trying to curb this menace in society. And I mentioned something, Uyi. I said most individuals, role models. Now, everyone hide under the guise or the umbrella of, what is happening in the country, that there is so much suffering. And the truth is, you won't take me to the bank. It is the fastest way of making money if you succeed in that particular trade, which it's very unfortunate that people feel that is the fastest way to get rich quick. The risk it takes to ingest 100 kg of a substance in your body, and there is a risk behind it. They tell you can only survive 5 hours or 6 hours after that, and people are willing to take that risk, only under the guise of what is happening in the country, forgetting that you are a role model. This is an ex-footballer. A lot of individuals, little kids, youths must have been looking up to this particular footballer. And then next thing you know, he goes out and he's trafficking drugs. And now he's caught. And you wonder, what is going to happen to this individual? What sort of shame and disgrace is attached to all of this? It's just unfortunate that we need to nip this monster. I'm using your word now. It is a monster. And the fastest way we nip it in the bud, the quicker it will be for other youths out there who feel as if, because today someone has made up his mind that he's going to traffic drugs, whatever English you're speaking right now, he doesn't care. But we need a way out of this monster, and we need a way out really, really soon. I know the NDLEA, they're doing as much as they can, but I think they can do more, because really we need an awareness every single day how dangerous this can be, and the lives in which are being lost by this particular monster in our society.
Well, brilliantly said, but this is, again, a very sad development.
Very sad.
But let's look at the last headline this morning from the Daily Times newspaper still. It says, APC National Chairmanship, North Central backs Al Makura. There has been that controversy as to whether or not the chairmanship of the APC should go to the North Central and all of that. But again, that conversation is ongoing within the fold of the ruling All Progressives Congress. That's what we'll leave it with the Daily Times this morning, as we flip over now to the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, let's flip to the Daily Trust newspaper, and below the nameplate there on page 17, it reads, Ganjuje's exit, a CPC block, North Central push for APC chairmanship. Well, let's see how that plays out. Of course, we're following the story. We'll try and see. And then it says here how Naira depreciation pushed Nigeria's debt to 149.39 trillion Naira. That's a lot. Dantata for burial in Saudi Arabia today. And you can find that read on page 37 of the Daily Trust. Now, the Star story reads, PDP NEC meeting holds today. NWC members insist, and the rider says, no, it's expanded caucus session, Damagu's group. And below the feet of the Daily Trust, and you can find that read on page 6, it says 2027, Sean Sycophants, Dangiwa tells Tinubu. And to find out what all of these stories is all about, just go out and get yourself a copy of the Daily Trust and be well abreast with issues making rounds. Next, we have the Standard Times.
All right, so let's make it standard quickly for you. All right, the Standard Times has, well, let's just call it a truckload of headlines this morning. Well, we'll begin with the ones above the name masts, top right. It says TCN energizes 2 new transformers, adds 120 megawatts to national grid. Sounds like some progress there. All right, what more? CSR, UN and Sterling One Foundation lead coalition ahead of ASRS 2025. Then here again we have a big headline that says Bayelsa, that's your kicker. Governor Diri set to defect to APC, gets lawmakers' endorsement. Right. Account for security votes spending, invites EFCC, ICPC, SERAP, tells 36 governors. Governor Fubara shuts down political groups, says no price to march for peace. Juma and I made allusion to that a while ago. 2027, South-South governors, APC leaders endorse Tinubu. Kogi government gets 15 mining licenses to tap mineral resources. Tinubu in St. Lucia for diplomatic engagement, not vacation, as credited to the presidency. NDLEA arrests ex-footballer, business partner over alleged attempt to smuggle cocaine. Alleged extortion. Onitsha drug market traders again stage protests against Chukwuleta-led caretaker committee. And then at the very foot of the paper, a front page this morning, Nigeria's elites created sustained insecurity. Who is saying that? Plateau Governor Mufwang alleges. Read that interesting story on page 2 of the Standard Times today. All right, we'll leave it there for you. Get those details when you pick up a copy of the paper. Let's move on to the Daily Courier now.
All right, now the Daily Courier newspaper, and below the name mast, it says 70% Nigerians without insurance cover. And of course, that's really, really true. I think we don't take that really seriously in Nigeria.
We keep talking about insurance penetration, reforms in the insurance sector. You see, Nigerians as of today, for the most part, do not believe in insurance. In fact, some persons seem to have a bit of culture shock every time you bring up that conversation.
Exactly, and you wonder.
Yes.
And you know, funny enough, people abroad, they have when you call insurance when it has to do with their cars, some their health, some their kidneys, some their hands, some, and you'll be shocked. And it's just a culture shock.
Assets.
Yes, exactly. But funny enough, we don't really. Do you have an insurance? I'm putting you on the spot. Sorry, let me not put you on the spot. I think I know the answer. Let's move on now. All right, here it says Tinubu's St. Lucia visit stirs pride abroad, criticism at home. And here the writer says Afrobeat, Nollywood and education takes center stage in the Caribbean. Nice. And then Peter Obi condemns trip, calls it a holiday amidst hunger and insecurity. And below the name mass, of course, that's a picture of the president in St. Lucia. That's his visit there. And here it says, Akume remains SGF as presidency, dismisses removal rumors as fabrication. And still on the paper, it says here, the Daily Courier, it says NDLEA bus ex-international footballer, 72-year-old grandma, others with drugs. Are you kidding me? 72-year-old grandma. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. And it says, court jails aviation ministry worker 1 year for job scam. Uganda's president, Museveni, confirms bid to extend nearly 40-year rule. Undefeated Topuria knocks out Oliveira in first round to claim UFC lightweight crown. And of course, those are the major headlines in the Daily Courier. Just go out and get yourself a copy and well abreast. But before you get yourself a copy, let's talk a bit about this 72-year-old grandma. You see what life is bringing. Like now, kids, or will I say youths who are supposed to be working, taking care of their children, cannot do that because I cannot blame it on unemployment of the children, because I don't know the story surrounding the grandma, if she has kids or not, or what will prompt an elderly woman, that's a senior citizen, at that age, 72, to traffic drugs. Like, what must have led to it? Who must have encouraged her, or that they won't check her because she's old or something? It's really bad. Like the examples that are being set, it's very unfortunate. But I hope the needful is done. I don't want to say justice to be served because of course we know how that will end. But I hope I hope they should consider her age and all of that. But still,
the law is the law.
Yeah, I know. I know. Next is the Vanguard.
All right. We're not going to spend much of time here on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Just two headlines. The one here above the nameplates, Vanguard newspaper says, PDP crisis, factions hold parallel NEC meetings. What are those factions? Well, find out for yourself on page 5 on the Vanguard newspaper. Electricity, no respite for 7 million customers or consumers, despite 1.5 trillion naira spent on metering. Quite a sad case. It will appear the conversation, as sad as it is, about the Nigerian power sector is never ending. And we just hope at some point we find a definitive solution to all of these problems.
Yes, we do.
All right, we move on to this day newspaper for you at this point.
All right, in Uyi's words, we're not going to waste so much time here on this day newspaper. And above the nameplate, it says, June 12, Abubakar Umar reveals names of 38 unsung military officers who backed MKO Abiola. And the writer reads, Liz Lawal, Faferu, Isa Sambo, Dasuki, Lawan Gwadebe, Isa Jibrin, Olagunsoye, Oyin Lola, amongst others. Well, I think that is an honor to these officers who backed MKO, because it wasn't all of them that were against the civilian regime at that point, and some actually stood out. So I think they should be honored also. It's very important that they are remembered for their sacrifice. It's very important. And that's why we enjoy democracy today. And it's a balance between the military and, of course, the civilian rule. And here it says, U.S. Museum returns looted artworks to Benin Kingdom. I'm very excited about that because, you know, of course, I'm half.
You have one of your legs there.
Well, I have one of my legs there. Of course, you know, my mom is Edo, so I'm very happy about this because I always ask questions. I always ask questions about our artifacts, and I'm glad they are returned back home where they belong. And that you can find on page 41. And basically that's it on this day newspaper. Please go out and get yourself a copy. And next we have the Daily Independent.
Thank you, Jumai. Let's turn now to the big headline on the Daily Independent. It reads, Nigeria's rising debt revenue shortfalls deepen fiscal worries, of course. Then we'll move it a notch higher for you. Top left corner this morning, $3.5 billion Nigeria services account deficit highlights weakness in FX generation. PDP crisis deepens as NWC holds parallel meetings ahead of NEC. Two writers here. One of them says NEC holds today, insists Taufik-led NWC. The second tells us Governor Umba stands by Southeast NWC BOT on NEC national scribe. So it's still the Ode Okoye and some IMO factor playing out here. And then this time left corner of it, it says presidency replies Obi justifies Tinubu's trip to St. Lucia. Account for security votes, Serap tells governors. Is that going to see the light of day? Stakeholders worry over heightened mass unemployment in Nigeria. FX risk, others push airlines to pursue dry lease with states. And then lastly, on the foot of the paper this morning, Dangote's 720 billion naira CNG drive to save Nigerians 1.7 trillion naira lifts 42 million MSMEs. That's massive, to say the least.
Yes, it is.
But you can read up those details on page 29 of the Daily Independent this morning, as we turn now to the Daily Monitor, from where Juma will bring us all of the headlines.
All right, now the Daily Monitor. Let's monitor into some headlines making rounds. And it says, NIMET predicts 3-day thunderstorms, rains, cautions airlines. Cautions airlines, I repeat, airlines and drivers. And below the name mass, it reads, it's time for religious groups to unite for Nigeria's unity. And that's from Governor Idris. And you can find that read on page 2. And it says 2027 South-South governors, APC leaders endorse Tinubu. That's on page 15. 10 abducted Benue Link passengers, driver release, and that's from the Benue Link management. Thank God. And that's, of course, that's a relief, and you can find that on page 4. Industry conflict resolution. Nigeria saved 6 billion naira in 2024, and that's from the NSC. And you can find that page on page 12. Now, the Star story reads, insecurity, victory over terrorists certain, and that's from the COAS, that's the Chief of Army Staff. And at the feet of the Daily Monitor, it reads, Tinubu St. Lucia's visit boosts ties with Caribbean nations, and that's from the presidency. And let's flip over to the first newspaper.
All right, time to move on to the first newspaper. All right, we'll begin with the one adjacent day name-mast this morning. Says Fubara, no sacrifice too great for peace in Rivers. We can't say that enough. Kwankwaso betrayed our trust. Let APC take him. NNPP presidency explains Tinubu's visits to St. Lucia, slams critics. Account for security, votes pending or face court. Serap wants governors. Tinubu Sanwo-Olu's teams abandoned us after campaign. Actor Lalude. And then the Star headline here has a kicker that says, terror in Benue. Herdsmen kill 4 policemen, attack Otom's village as 13 abductees regain freedom. 2027 South APC governors, leaders endorse Tinubu for second term. Obviously, there's a reason it's called, Hurricane Tinubu. Boston Museum returns looted Benin artifacts to Oba of Benin. That's quite historic again.
Very historic.
And then finally, on the first news paper this morning, a flood displaces residents, kills 2 in Borno. Quite a sad occurrence there. Just shows that climate change is real. But then we move on to the Daily Times. Oh, we've done the Daily Times already. So apparently this is the last paper for you this morning. We will encourage you, as always, to take out time to read up these details. That way you'll be guided. Stay away from fake news, misinformation, and then stay ahead of the news. Just again to mention that Global Television does not in any way contribute to this newspaper content or the editorial guidelines that's produced. We just bring you the headlines and guide you through the day's news.
And of course, with that, we have to wrap up this segment of the newspaper review segment. Let's just quickly go on a very quick break. Global Morning continues shortly. Stay tuned.
that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, let's turn our attention a little now to issues beyond Nigeria. The Middle East has been quite of concern across the globe these last few weeks, especially in light of the conflict between Israel and Iran. And before that, it was Israel and Hamas on account of the Gaza war. It's amazing how things have escalated real fast now. Just to bring you up to speed, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, which is of course an agency of the United Nations, is now saying that given what we know today, given the situation, given the sophistication of science and technology in Iran, the country will, in a matter of months, in all likelihood, begin to again enrich its uranium, which the US, Israel, and, well, the Western world fear could be disastrous for the entire globe and all of that. But of course, Iran has always said, look, we're not developing it for a bomb. We're not developing it to become a threat to the world. We're using it for development. We're using it for the purpose of energy generation, and things like that. But Iran too has responded, because we realized that just a little while a week ago, the U.S. has struck Iran's nuclear sites, about 3 of them. All right. So Iran is now calling on the United Nations to say, look, you have to sanction the U.S. You have to sanction Israel. As a matter of fact, what Iran is even saying is that there has to be reparation and compensation for Iran, because they say that those strikes were uncalled for, and those strikes were, in their own words, serious and heinous crimes. But the good thing, Juma, is that we can find some consolation knowing that there's some ceasefire deal in place.
Yes.
And that's the reason you and I, in the last couple of days, have not heard about strikes, conflicts. Yeah, there may be pocket of violence here and there, but at least we've not heard about all-out engagement, as it were, or aggression of any kind, which means that if we continue like this, hopefully in the end we would find peace.
Which is very important. Like I said, there's nothing like peace at all. It just brings back that people can actually commune in a dialogue. They can be dialogue, and then things can actually go well when it comes to these issues. Of course, this issue has been we've been lingering for a while now, going back and forth. But I'm glad with the peace pact that's going to take place. I'm glad that both countries have decided that, okay, this is the way forward for you and I, for both countries to come together. Because before now, they've always had an amazing relationship. It's just, with all of these wars here and there, of course, with Israel and Hamas, and then now Iran and Hamas and all of these issues making round. But for me, peace is just the way forward. And at the same time, we don't forget that for everyone involved in this, it's only what favors your country that I will actually put out there for individuals to understand. It's what favors me and what is beneficial for my own country that I will actually put out there for you to. Because most countries are not even. I don't think this peace is even sitting well with some countries, but let's just see what it brings. But I hope it brings peace and for individuals to forge ahead. A lot of people have been displaced because of this war. A lot of properties have been destroyed, a lot of revenue, facilities, a lot of good things, development in the country has been destroyed because of this back and forth when it comes to war, misunderstanding, conflict, and all of that. But, peace is just the only way forward, and I hope that is done as soon as possible. Well, it's still in the right direction because we've not heard anything yet, but let's just hope and see, fingers crossed. You know how Iran can be. They always have, I always say they always have something at the back of their sleeves. Well, let's just see
and watch
and see what this means. And of course, U.S. versus is always ready to, retaliate when the need arises. But let's just see how well this plays out.
Sure. Well, as they always say, enlightened self-interest is always the overarching objective for countries in terms of how they engage with the rest of the world. But like Jemai mentioned, peace overall should be our focus, so we can continue to, as it were, make progress, not just in the Middle East, but across the globe. In the weeks, I should say in the days ahead, particularly in this current week, we'll make the effort to engage with some Middle East experts on these issues so they can provide some insights and perspectives as to what exactly is happening on the ground and what this could mean for, if you like, how nations within the Middle East, the Gulf countries as they call them, interact amongst themselves. Because this conflict, again, has gone on to rub off on countries like Qatar. But again, we wait to see how it unfolds in the days, weeks, and months ahead. Let's take a quick break now. When we return, so much to unbundle on the program for you this morning. Please stay with us.
that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning on Global Television. And we've just been talking about peace lately, talking about Iran and, of course, Iran and, of course, Israel, the peace pact by the United States and other very strong countries of the world, trying to bring that peace back to where it ought to be. And, of course, back at home here in Nigeria, the peace that has happened between the FCT Minister Yeso Wike and, of course, Siminalayi Fubara, talking about peace, the only headway to bring, that particular unity and, of course, togetherness in a country or a nation. There's a lot that peace does. And peace can actually settles war. It shows that we have an understanding, we want it to work, we want to work together, hand in hand together, for to remove any sort of violence or crisis. That's what peace does. It's a very strong weapon, and it's a tool to bring individuals together, for you to understand that peace is the only way to rule a nation. And of course, knowing that it's not about you and I, it doesn't matter what issues we have. Let's look at individuals in whom we represent the nation and what it will tell to other nations in the outside world. And, I am being inspired by what happened with the FCT minister and, of course, Siminalayi, the governor of River State, Siminalayi Fubara. And at the same time, people should actually learn from this. It's a role model. It's a tool for people to know that whatever it is, that you don't have to be high up there. Even within your circle, let peace reign. There's sometimes when it's hard to overlook issues, but at the same time, see what it can bring. It can bring a lot of crisis when you allow hate, war, strife to engage in that particular circle. And with this much talk, let's listen to this very inspiring song this morning. We are one, we are together, and hope it inspires you to look out for peace and make peace where it's necessary. Stay tuned and be inspired. All right, talking about Where Will You Run To? That's a song by Josephine, encouraging us to embrace love and peace, which is very important. We need to be inspired on a daily. I know sometimes people will say, I know some comments you make about the president, comments you make about the FCT minister, Mr. Project, comments you make about our political leaders and how unhappy some individuals are. But at the same time, please, let us embrace peace and love to ensure that, in fact, it makes you feel good about yourself as an individual, that positive vibe in which you bring. The truth is, I was telling someone, you will not understand what it means to be in power unless you were there, and the tough decisions in which you have to make. And of course, you cannot please everyone, but you can try as much as possible to strike a balance. Yes, and at the same time, you're out there watching from afar, you can try to understand that it's not easy, but you can pass your message in a subtle and again peaceful manner for it to go a long way. Very, very important. And then with that, talking about peace,
let's talk about maybe this time from the standpoint of the ladies. Talking about gender balance.
Exactly.
And all of that. Turns out, Juma and I were talking about that away from the cameras a while ago, that today is International Day of parliamentarianism. Of course, June 30 is set aside for that day. This commemoration has been here for more than 140 years. So it's been a long, long time coming. But there's something spectacular about this year's commemoration. The theme says achieving gender equality, action by action, which is very important. It says women remain underrepresented in national and local legislatures worldwide, limiting their political rights and influence over laws and budget. So it's basically about women and how that we can have, in a practical manner, more of inclusive leadership. So it's not enough to have the whole room filled with men. What happens to women? What are we doing with women who are, who have so much of gifting trapped within them, all right, whether it's intellectual, entrepreneurial, professional, vocational, whatever it is. To what extent are we harnessing those, if you like, attributes and resources to ensure that we continue to drive development across multiple fronts? And then it also brings us to the quality of representation we get from our legislators, whether it's your local assembly at the local government level, all right, or of course they call that the legislative arm of the local government, or your state house of assembly, or you say, okay, let's escalate to the federal level. You want to talk about the House of Representatives, you want to talk about the Senate, for example. What is the quality of representation they're giving us? Time and again since 1999, we have heard lawmakers, especially those in the House of Representatives and the senators, telling us that, look, it is not our role to do things that are tangible. For example, road infrastructure, build schools, upgrade healthcare facilities and all that. That's not part of our mandate. It's not part of our job. Our job is to formulate the laws that would drive these developments. We've seen them say that. But we've also seen these legislators fight over contracts, fights over constituency projects and all the monies that come through it and things like that. We're seeing real distractions amongst our legislators. So the question today is, how do you explain, for example, that somebody is representing a particular local government or a federal constituency, for instance, whether it's in the west, in the southeast, in south, or somewhere up north, and they spend more time in Abuja than they do in their local assembly. And then you're asking yourself, how then do you represent me?
Exactly.
How does Juma Manson feel when she goes to, let's say, the constituency office of our representative, and she can't find the person? For upwards of 6 months, for example, because the man or the woman representing her, or who supposedly represents her, spends more time in Abuja. So the question is, how do you interact with the people at the grassroots that you're supposed to represent? How do you talk with them? What exactly is the quality of interaction that you have with them? I think this is a long, drawn-out conversation.
Yes, it is. And then you make absolute sense, Uyi. It's just unfortunate that individuals who are supposed to be our representatives are not with us in that place in which they find themselves, whether it's the locality or, of course, the state in which you represent. You don't even understand what these individuals need. Like, for you to be elected in that particular position, you should understand that you are the mouthpiece of the individuals there. You should know their concerns. You should know their needs, their basic needs. Like, for issues of healthcare, issues of basic necessities like water, like good roads, education in that particular locality, you have no clue. And when individuals that you have put there in place to give you feedback do not give you the right information, you think it's true, you do not follow up. Sometimes, as a leader, you need to go back to that constituent where you're from, or who you represent, and find out for yourself, so you can understand the plight of the individuals. But we do not see that here most often in Africa, or let's say in Nigeria. Most of our leaders or individuals who represent us are nowhere close to where individuals, the low income individuals, live. They are away. You won't even see the person for like a year or 6 months. You just, if you're lucky enough to feel the impact, sometimes with what they give, the palliative they give, that's if you are lucky enough to.
With a big if.
With a big if. So, but at the same time, I think we need to put in more work when it comes to leadership and representation. It's very important that we put in more work to understand the plight of individuals and in whom you represent. It's very important. There's a lot to be done, and it starts with that little step of you being there, being active, not just when you stand to give
what you have heard, but at the same time you understand the plight of these individuals and you're there to actually feel their plight at the same time.
Yeah.
I think it goes a long way.
It does. Well, what more can we say? I would like to say thank you to Jumai for making that very clear. I mean, perspectives are very important as well. Let's take a quick break now. When we return, it will be time to put our conversation on the road proper, and it will be focused on the 2027 politics from the standpoint of the opposition, as is assumed led by the now embattled People's Democratic Party, the PDP.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
The last 10 years, if anything, have, if you like, redefined and shaped the People's Democratic Party, a party that one time had held sway for 16 years at the national level in particular and across many states in this country. But beyond the 2015 general election, which of course former President Goodluck Jonathan had lost, came the other two cycles of general election, 2019 and 2023. Now these two, if you like, electoral events did test the grit of the PDP as well as also put to test its internal cohesion. The last 10 years has also shown that the People's Democratic Party has been challenged on many fronts, with factions, if you like, well enough within the party, and individuals, in particular those who are said to have so much of clout and influence, leaving the party. In very recent history, we've seen some of the biggest names in that party also either leave to join the ruling All Progressives Congress or just decide to stay aloof. Some say, well, they are staying on the fence. As it stands today, Nigerians are not so sure whether or not the PDP as a political party, a political entity, is part of the ongoing talks regarding a coalition for 2027. However, one thing is very clear. The PDP does not look today like a party that is ready to go into that election the way it is currently constituted. Of course, the party has also seen some wins in some areas, some levels. But do these put together contribute to its ability to fight fair and square with the APC going into the next round of general elections. This morning, I'm joined by a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, who is also the convener of the PDP League, Comrade Warmits. Double Kiabo. I try to be very careful with the second name, but I'm sure I'm doing better by the day. It's a pleasure having you on the program, Comrade.
Thank you for the privilege.
Great. So let's begin with this morning. I mean, the papers are washed with stories about the PDP, most of them not painting your party in good light, in light of the realities that your party is dealing with. Talk to us about where we are.
Well, I want to say, correct the impression that the party, many papers are painting the party bad. Well, it will be their opinion, but the truth remains that every party have their challenges, and we have our fair share of those challenges, and we are, by God's grace, managing it fairly under the leadership of Ambassador Umar Damagu and Senator Anyao. The party is faring well. We have issues with the National Secretaryship, and by God's grace, it has been resolved in line with the constitution of our great party and the Supreme Court pronouncement.
It's interesting. I mean, you have mentioned the Anyao elements in this conversation. The governor of Enugu State, talking about Peter Mba, says he stands with the NWC of your party. He stands with the position of the Southeast. Of course, we know what that position is. By the way, it's in favor of Fode Okoye, the man who a faction of your party believes is the de facto, if you like, even de jure national secretary of your party. So when you say that issue has been resolved, is it based on what the Wike or your faction of the party thinks, or is that the reality across the party today?
No, you see, it's the reality across the party that Anyao is the national secretary, and not just across the party, is the position of the constitution. And it is quite unfortunate that people like His Excellency Peter Mba of Enugu State and His Excellency Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, with due respect to them, will be acting against the constitution of our great party. Because looking at the constitution, there is no angle, there is no reason to say that Senator Anyao was not the national secretary at any point in time. And that has been made clear with the meeting and delegation which Oyo State governor was part of, that met with the INEC team led by the national chairman, the chairman of INEC. So you see that it's politics we are playing, and some people want to have their way unconstitutionally. But the constitution has said this is the way, and most of our great party, members of our great party have said, no, we are going this way. Today, expanded caucus meeting will take place. I just left there. Already people have started coming in. And that is to tell you that the PDP is getting stronger. The issue we had before is because we are trying to, divert or digress from our consistency in abiding by our constitution. Because Seyi Makinde and Peter Mba cannot compel the party to unconstitutionality, to illegality. Because looking at section 47(5), the party stated it clear in the part A, which is usually the operational word is may, and that part A is standing on the two legs. And looking at part B, where they are relying on, we say shall. Part B is standing on one leg, because the second leg is the Congress guideline. And if you look at the Congress guideline, both page 36 and page 26 or so, you will discover that there is no time at which the party in the 2022 primaries said that a candidate should resign. In fact, if you follow section 48(1), even if you win the governorship, assuming Senator Anyao won the governorship of Imo State, until he takes the oath of office, he can still remain the national secretary, because the operational word in 48 is assume.
And among the offices listed, there was no position of governor-elect or flag bearer of the party. What he said when he assumed the position of a governor. So he has never assumed the position of a governor. He only assumed as a flag bearer, and not even governor-elect, because even as governor-elect, you are not occupying dual office. And you see the unconstitutionality in that. But because of their desperation, they went to the Supreme Court. I mean, they went to the Enugu High Court and Appeal Court Division with a forged document, it has been alleged, and secured or procured judgment. But the Supreme Court has looked at it and said no, and said Anyanwu prayers are meritorious. And one of his prayers is, he is the National Secretary of PDP before this matter started. So for the Supreme Court to say nullify or say that the Appeal Court and High Court of Enugu State, Enugu Division cannot stand, means that Anyanwu remains the secretary. Let's look at it before those cases. Who was the National Secretary? Senator Anyanwu. So there is no argument to that point, but political greed to the extent of ego has come in. Otherwise, there is no need for Peter Mbao, Seyi Makinde to still raise dust. And I want to say, I commend people like the Zamfara State Governor, the Plateau State Governor, the Bauchi State Governor for accepting and abiding by the Constitution. They were part of the team that went to INEC. And when INEC gave their position, they saw it and they reasoned with it and said, okay, if this is the position of the Constitution and the Supreme Court pronouncement, let's move forward.
Was the meeting with INEC worth it? Did it yield desired results?
To a large extent, it did, because without that meeting, some of the warring faction that today are not saying recognizing Anyanwu as the National Secretary would have found it difficult. That is the advantage of that. Because some of them, they've been told, even the National Legal Advisor has advised them that based on the Constitution, Anyanwu remains the National Secretary. But they said no, let's go. Individually, they went to INEC. INEC said, but they went, the last caucus meeting, they went, delegated members, and the members went, leaders rather, went and met with the INEC leadership. And the INEC leadership stated it clearly that following the Supreme Court pronouncement, following your own Constitution, Anyanwu remains the National Secretary. And so will it be until you organize a convention to do otherwise. Otherwise, he remains the National Secretary.
It's interesting. I just want to ask you this. You are not here to hold brief for the other faction, maybe the Seyi Makinde faction or the Governor Mbah faction. But what do you reckon could be the motivation behind this fight over Ode Okoye becoming the National Secretary of the PDP?
Well, you see, it's politics. They want their stooges. And you know what bleeds my heart most is that in the desire and desperation to have someone, a puppet, as a National Secretary, they did not look at the credibility of the person that they want to make National Secretary to a party, the most #1 party in Africa. Ode Okoye is a misfit, with all due respect. He's a misfit. Look at our BOT meeting, running with barefoot, displayed tawdry, characteristics. And today it has been alleged himself and the director at the National Secretariat forged our Congress guideline. A criminal offense is the person they are putting forward. And let me make something clear. Senator Anyanwu is not desperate to remain the National Secretary. What Senator Anyanwu was fighting is not to remain the National Secretary, but rather he was fighting against illegality. Let there be no wrong precedent under his watch that people will reference tomorrow. Not because he wants to remain the National Secretary. No. And that's why I believe that he deserves an apology from those people that have been, fighting him. Because looking at the Constitution and every extant law, he remains the National Secretary. And that is what he's fighting for, not him, and must be remain the National Secretary. No. If today I allow them to have their way, it will be a precedent that others will come tomorrow. In fact, the young party faithful should commend him for being consistent in this fight to ensure that constitutionality and legality prevail over unconstitutionality, greed, ego, and illegality.
Okay. So your party has its NEC meeting scheduled for today.
Not NEC meeting. Expanded
caucus meeting today. Yes, sorry. Thank you for the correction. So you have that caucus meeting scheduled for today, which is very pivotal, is very crucial, at least given where your party is now. But there was also the issue of whether or not there was a faction that wanted today's meeting to go on, another faction that said no, it can't go on. Where are we today? Are we on the same page? I mean, all the factions in your party, are they on the same page as to that caucus meeting holding today?
The caucus meeting, see, the life wire of a political party is the national chairman and national secretary. And both of them has made pronouncement following the Constitution, Section 36. The national secretary has issued notice for...
So in this case, for context, let's be clear.
Yes.
Who issued this notice in the person of the national secretary? Is it Mr. Ayaw?
Yes, Netanyahu. We've never had any national secretary except Netanyahu from 2021 to date. He's the only person that remained the national secretary. And the national chairman, following the Constitution, has the powers, Section 35 of our Constitution, to summon a meeting. And he has summoned. And the national secretary responsibility is to issue notice for that summon, for the meeting. And the national secretary has done that. So, for the expanded caucus meeting, and that is what will happen today. Now, talking about those that you said are saying NEC must hold and what have you. You see, it is quite unfortunate that people work against their conscience because of ambition. Let me give you an instance why I'm making that statement. The Deputy National Chairman South, in the person of His Excellency Ambassador Arapaja, is doing what he's doing because he felt or is feeling that Sheyi Makinde will hand over to him as governor, without knowing that he's not even among the first three of Sheyi Makinde's list from what investigation has revealed. So he's not doing that because that is what he wants to do. He knows the truth, that what he's doing is wrong and it's an illegality and it's against the constitution of the party. But because he wants to please his master, Sheyi Makinde, and because he's trying to lobby him to be the next governor of Oyo State, whatever Sheyi Makinde tells him, he does it, not looking at the legality and the illegality of it. That is the unfortunate thing. And some of them there, I know them, and when they came into the NWC, they had nothing. And they feel, our tenure will soon end, so let's see what we can grab before we leave. They profit from the crisis or the interest wrangling in the party. Otherwise, at this point, this Constitution has spoken, the Supreme Court has spoken, the political party regulating body, which is INEC, has spoken. So what else do you want to say? You are not independent of all these bodies. They cannot claim to be independent of the Constitution. They cannot claim to be independent of the Supreme Court pronouncement. They cannot claim to be independent of the regulatory body INEC. So on what grounds are you going against the Constitution? There is nothing. It's just that people are sustaining this fight because they profit from it. And some of them are doing it not because they want to do it, but because that is the only way that will show that they are loyal in order for them to get what they want from their principal. I've given you an example of Arapaja. He wants to be the governor, and that's why he's desperately doing whatever Sheyi Makinde wants, even not minding if it's against the interests of the party, the Constitution, and if it's unconstitutional. As long as it pleases Sheyi Makinde to be able to have buy into his heart to be nominated as the governorship candidate in Oyo State. So we don't have serious issue. Because as far as the party is concerned, we don't have any faction. We have some disgruntled persons or NWC members. Fine, they met yesterday. Out of 16 NWC members, 9 were in the meeting. And that is majority. If you remove 9 from 16, you have 7. It's only 7 of them.
So can we take it, that those 7 are with the Sheyi Makinde faction?
Not can we take it, they are with him because they have been profiting from the crisis. So they are with him, and I've given you reasons why they are with him, because they know the truth. They know
they are driven by ambition.
Ambition and personal aggrandizement. Because some of them say by December our tenure will end. What are we living with? Nothing. So they profit. They see wherever this thing will come from, the money will come from. That is where they follow.
I want to ask you something. I mean, you and I talked here a little over 6 weeks ago, and we're talking following the defection of the governor of Delta State, which again has always been, until now, a traditional PDP state. Between the last time you were in this studio and today, we've also seen the defection of a governor of another traditional PDP state, which is Akwa Ibom. In fact, people have now said that on account of Governor Umo's defection, there's a chance that his immediate predecessor, talking about Udom Emmanuel, will also move to the APC. But we're waiting for that to happen. We're not so sure of that. But what we are sure of today is that when you go to another South state, Bayelsa this time, Governor Duri Odiri is said to have now been endorsed, for defection. He has been given approval, so to speak, by the House of Assembly and the leadership of your party in Bayelsa State. As a matter of fact, PDP legislators in Bayelsa State have now endorsed President Bola Tinubu. In fact, in the days ahead, the official defection of the Governor Odiri would be announced. And then this morning, news is saying that the APC is moving to, quote unquote, take away 5 more governors from the PDP fold again. Can we say, in the words of Dino Melaye, that the PDP is dead now?
Dino Melaye, let me start by, you cannot take the words of Dino Melaye serious. Dino Melaye is it has faded away. He's a politician that has faded away, so he's living by his past glory. You cannot take him serious. Someone that said in 2014, here is our PDP 3 times, Allah here is our PDP 3 times, and said Olomaje PDP, and said Tufeka PDP, came back to that same PDP. Not only came back, took ticket, went and sold that ticket. It has been alleged he sold the ticket and went away and gallivanting all over the world at the expense of the party. Is such person that you take his word serious? So we don't take people like Dino Melaye serious, please. Maybe because he was a former senator and that's why people are taking a House of Representatives. But if not, his word, as far as PDP is concerned, his word matters, means nothing to us, because he has demonstrated it. He stood on a podium, on a PDP podium, chatting APC. So we know such persons. We don't bother ourselves with them. But let me address the main issue, which is you talk about. I've read also that there is rumors that the Bayelsa governor is looking at the camping, but I've also read in on one of the national dailies where he said that he's not decamping. In his hometown, when some of the legislators representing his constituency at the state and federal level paid him a visit, he said he's not decamping, he will remain in PDP. So we are yet to see if truly that is the case, or if the rumor is the case. But it will be unfortunate, just like the good people of Akwa Ibom State did to the what is it called, the Akwa Ibom State governor, when he said he's moving out. He said no. Same thing will happen in Bayelsa. It's a traditional state. The DNA of the people of Bayelsa, just like rightly said, the traditional state of Delta are all PDP. Some of them, they've not registered, they've decamped. In Delta State, reliably informed, they've decamped, but they've not registered with the APC. They are still struggling to take the PDP structure. Of that? They are struggling to take PDP structure. If you are talking about, I think you said federal legislators, but some federal legislators from Bayelsa State are struggling to take the leadership of the caucus, PDP caucus in the National Assembly. So you see that some of these are rumor, and the people are compelled to decamp for whatever reason best known to them. But I will want to commend those that will decamp without casting aspersion upon the party that has given them that privilege to be known across, this country. Some of them will decamp, just like the Dino Melaye mentioned, and make all sort of comment about. He could not even. He is the worst candidate we have in the history of PDP flag bearers in Kogi State. His vote. So you don't count those people. But I want to assure you that we lose some governors or not, PDP is bouncing back, and we are coming up with very credible candidates in the 2027 election that will surprise Nigerians. Popular candidates are not candidates that are only good with their mouth and are not good with their leadership style, that cannot governize membership. Give them ticket, they just sell it and go and be flexing in Dubai and so on. and posting pictures. No, that is not the candidate who will float this time.
You're saying we shouldn't take Dino Melaye seriously. I mean, a man like you also alluded to, who had been a senator on the platform of your party, the PDP. Maybe, who knows, we should take former Vice President Atiku Abubakar a bit more seriously, because just before the 2015 general election, he had also given up the PDP for the dead. As a matter of fact, 1 decade down the line, you and I know, he's one of the persons in the forefront of the talks about coalition. What does that say about the depletion that's happening to your party, and how it's going to, at best, go into 2027 as a man on one leg?
You see, PDP has made it clear that we are not going into coalition with any group or any political party. We are only going to accept collaboration and those that wants to join us. And the national chairman, when I say PDP, I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about symbols of the party, which is the national chairman and the national secretary, has come up to say our party is not going into any coalition, and if anybody is doing that, they are doing that on their personal grounds, not on behalf of the party, because the party has not come up with a position discussed to say we are going for a coalition. So the coalition talk, whoever they're engaging on that is doing it at their own, individual level, not as a party PDP, because the PDP has taken position. The number one, I'll call number one pressure group in the party, the PDP's Governors Forum, has said it, that no coalition. The national chairman has said it, he said it, no coalition. The national secretary, who said it first, said no coalition. So that will tell you the position of the party, and that is what every member stands with.
It's interesting, now that you mentioned the national chairman, we understand that there are people in your party, including 1 or 2 governors, who are not comfortable with Ambassador Damagum being the interim, or if you like, acting national chairman of the party, because they say it's an injustice, because they believe that the national chairmanship should have gone to a different region of the north, a different zone of the north, not where it currently is at the moment. One of those persons who are seen, I'm sure you're also aware, is the governor of Bauchi State, His Excellency, talking about Bala Mohammed, for example. Is that not again a factor that sets your party at a disadvantage?
No, we have gone past that. Let me say that, you see, today as we speak, we have overcome that challenge. Some governors, definitely when you are in a position, not everybody that will like you.
Right.
We should understand that, and not everybody will feel comfy with you that you protect their political interests. Because some people always put their interests above the Nigeria interests, and such persons is very difficult to hold them. Just like the former president said that it's difficult to wake someone that is pretending to sleep than someone that is genuinely sleeping. So some of them are pretending to sleep, so it's difficult to convince them to understand. But the Bauchi State governor has understood the fact that Ambassador Damagu's occupying the position is constitutional, and that's why we don't hear the rumor or the news that people are fighting for him to leave. It ought to go to this region, it ought to go to that region. We have passed that stage, and we have also passed the stage of Anyao is not the national secretary, because it has been made clear expressly that it's the national secretary. So we are forging towards uniting our party and giving Nigerians the needed opposition, and also work towards, pushing the ruling party out, which Nigerians have been begging us to do, and we are working towards that. That is the stage we are. So we have passed that stage of Anyao Damagu issue, not to the national chairmanship ought to go to this zone, region or zone. The national secretary, it ought not to be Anyao. We've passed that stage, because today the both gentlemen, they are one of the finest gentlemen we have called for expanded caucus meeting. And today, as I speak with you, I just left that environment. You'll see that everywhere has been primed down for the, this time people have started coming in.
Before now, it will appear the struggle of the leadership, or as they say, the structure of your party, was between former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike. But it appears the dynamics have shifted quite drastically in recent times. I mean, it looks like it's now between Nyesom Wike and Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde. And the irony of it all, as you are also aware, is that both of them had, before now, been members of the so-called G5 governors and all of that. Talk to us about what has led us to this place.
No, you see, it's politics and greed and people failing to appreciate the fact that there is a grand norm, which is the constitution that governs the party. You know, no matter what you are doing and no matter what you stand for, ensure that whatever you are doing fall within the ambit of the law. So today, every politician's desire is to have a structure. Every politician desires to control the structure. But my advice is that do that within the ambit of the law. Because right now, as we speak, that is what the FCT minister is doing. And that is why he's beating people like Seyi Makinde, because they want to do it outside the ambit of the law by bringing a misfit, total misfit. Someone that is a symbol of a disgrace if you make him the national secretary. So, but you see the credibility. In fact, let me tell you something. I was at his birthday, his sister's birthday, the national secretary of our great party, His Excellency Ambassador Senator Samuel Anyanwu. The former Senate President, Saraki, said something. He said, Senator Anyanwu is the first and only senator in the history of Nigeria that has summoned the Senate President to his committee. And when he sat in, he was in the witness box, he strips him off of his position as the Senate President. How do I mean? He did not address him as SP Saraki. He said, the ordinary senator, as far as this hearing is concerned. And Saraki was treated as ordinary senator, not as Senate President. That is the person we are talking about, that had that kind of integrity, guts, courage, without any, looking at anybody's face. He takes and does the right thing. Saraki himself said it to my hearing in the birthday, during the birthday celebration. That's why he respected him. And Saraki said, he told him that, see, this is your boss. He said, yes, I know you are my boss, but this matter, you are involved, and I want you to appear to clear your name if you know you are, you don't have issue. And he did. He was a first-time senator. To display such courage is something that, while the Senate President, and yes, on Saturday, he said it before the hearing of everybody. That is the kind of person we are talking about. So, Anyanwu is a material that, if PDP want to lose anybody, it shouldn't be Anyanwu at all. And that is why, the FCT minister is beating most of these persons, because his candidates are always people who does his thing within the ambit of the law, to see how we can make sure that, because if you try to do anything outside the law, you will lose out at the long run. Maybe you might even have sometimes immediate victory, but at the long run, you have set a wrong precedent. So as long as this power tussle is the ambition of every politician to have the structure of the party, to have a say within the hierarchy of the party, and you don't have to blame any of them. But the thing is that, do it within the ambit of the law. That is the issue people like us have. And Seyi Makinde is doing it outside of the law, and that's why he's going to lose, and he has lost the first one. But I also want to use this opportunity to advise him that there is no need for ego. If you have been beaten, you have been beaten. If you walk outside the law, you should know that definitely you will not succeed. Then come back to work with the Senator Anyanwu, and let's move this party forward. If you genuinely love PDP, because it has been alleged that he wants to use the party to negotiate, so he wants to sustain the crisis so the party will not have a candidate. By so doing, he has exerted his influence. That is what is on ground. So for him to encourage some NWC members to be making statements while the national chairman and national secretary and majority of the NWC members are working towards a progressive PDP, they are trying to work towards retrogressive PDP, but they will fail. That is the truth, because majority, over 90% of Nigerians party faithful are with the present NWC as ably led by Ambassador Damagu and Senator Anyanwu.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break at this point, everyone. There's so much to as it were, unpack regarding this conversation this morning. But when we return, we'll turn our attention to River State now, the home state, incidentally, of my guest, to look at what exactly has changed since the time that state of emergency was declared in Rivers. All of that and more shortly after this break. Please do stay with us.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
All right, so let's turn to the issues in River State. Of course, your man, the Minister of FCT, has reconciled with his before now estranged political godson. Both of them gave brief remarks about their impression regarding the turn of events. Of course, the FCT Minister says there's no family where you don't have a bit of squabble here and there, but the ultimate thing is that you recognize that family is family, and then you find a way to resolve your differences. And on the other hand, the suspended governor said that there's no price too much or too big to pay for peace, which makes sense. I mean, even beyond PDP and politics generally. But the question is, does this bring closure to the conflict that we have seen the entire time between Wike and Fubara? That's number one. A lot of damage has been done. You know what they say about when two elephants fight. People have suffered. I mean, there have been casualties in River State, politically speaking. Well, some sort of collateral damage and all of that. In fact, we understand that the Simplified Family, which is a very staunch support group behind Siminalayi Fubara, is now divided because there's a faction of that group that says that the man has surrendered so easily. Others say, well, peace is ultimately what matters and all of that. Talk to us about your thoughts.
Well, let me start by commending the FCT minister. He has displayed the characteristics of a father, just like the prodigal son in the Bible. He has displayed, when the father of the prodigal son saw his son, he welcomed it, in fact, through a party. And the FCT minister has demonstrated that truly he's a father, because it takes a true father and a loving father to forgive a son or a daughter that has gone astray. And I want to commend him for that. I really, really appreciate the fact that the FCT minister displayed such level of forgiveness and fatherly ability, because you know it is not easy if you are within the political space to go through such level of betrayal. It is not easy having invested in someone politically, and at the end, within the shortest time that you can think of, that one wouldn't want to imagine, you begin to see some level of rebellion coming up, and people that stood against you are the ones obnobbing with such a person. You will feel very depressed, and for him to have forgiven him, I want to salute his courage and salute the fact that truly is our leader in Rivers State, politically speaking, today. And I also want to commend the governor for realizing, just like the prodigal son, that he has erred and retraced his steps back to his family. Because, you see, it's only those that are profiting from the crisis in Rivers State, political crisis, that will not appreciate the governor's rethink of his actions, to have said, no, I have sinned, let me go back to my father and plead with him. It's only someone that does not appreciate peace, because you cannot, he said it in when he's addressing his Simplified movement, that you cannot take the fact that today God used Wike to make him governor.
Did he just realize?
That is it. A lot of people were, hovering around him, telling him all sort of things. He told them point blank, you have seen all. You cannot provide solution. We have fought. Where did it take us to? Nowhere. Our state is retrogressing because of that. But that is why I want peace. And outside the fact that I want peace, the person we are talking about is a person that made God used to put me where I am today. Some of you seated there were even against me then. So he has realized it. And I want to commend him for that. Because some persons, due to pride and ego, will not want to go back. But just like the prodigal son, he realized that that is his family, that is his source. Politically speaking, that is his source to prominence today, to even becoming the governor of Rivers State. So let me go back to my father, let me go back to my political family. And that is a very, very commendable decision, and not just decision, also action of the suspended governor. I want to salute him and say thank you to him for doing that, because some people will want to still drag it further at the expense of the state.
The incidents and the politicians can, it's not such a difficult task for them to confuse members of the public, especially those who are not politically savvy like them. We had heard this governor, and he's on record. I asked in that video, for example, during one of the funeral events held for late Dr. Edwin Clark, blessed memory, where he said his spirit, word for word, that his spirit had left the government house in Port Harcourt, that he was no longer interested, that he has left there, that he has moved on, that anybody doing anything supposedly on his behalf was on their own. Now, he's back, well, he has reconciled with his political godfather, like you call him, and then we understand that one of the preconditions that was given to him for this reconciliation, for him to be reinstated ultimately, is that he won't seek a second term in office. Of course, that is in 2027. Are these not neck-breaking conditions?
Well,
for a man who had constitutional rights to run for a second term in office?
Well, I will say that that cannot be verified. I have not seen where the FCT minister made such statements, or the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, or even the suspended Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, or even the the suspended Governor of Rivers State. I've not heard where they said that. So I wouldn't want to work based on assumption or rumors that such a condition is given to him. I think that would be my response, because I don't think such a condition will be given to him. But even though it is given to him, you see, the person we are talking about is someone that right from time did not indicate interest to be the governor of the state. So if he said, okay, he can even choose to say, I just want to go do this term and I'm okay with it. You just said that he said his spirit has left the government house. His spirit has left that office. So if the spirit has left the office, maybe the spirit came back and the spirit doesn't want to go to the government house in 2027. Let me just complete this one. Maybe that is what
that's not a dynamic spirit, because that spirit can also turn around tomorrow and say, well, we've changed our mind, we want to go back to the house.
Let's see when the spirit is but as we speak today, I don't think there's a lot of, I saw a lot of things, conditions given, this, that, and so on and so forth. But the truth remains that we've not heard it from the failed peace deal that we saw, the terms of agreement, the FCT minister mentioned some of them. That one we heard it from them.
Right.
But this one we've not heard from any of the parties. So I feel it's not something that should be taken serious. But one thing that I'm happy about is that politically peace has returned to Rivers State, and the suspended governor has retraced his step to his political family, and also our leader, the FCT minister, have also forgiven him and received him. Not just forgiven him, he has received him back to the fold, and that is what is gladdening my heart, and I'm happy about it.
There are people who believe, some of these people are in your party, they believe that the reconciliation between Wike and Fubara does not necessarily mean reconciliation of all the other agreed members, especially those on the side of Governor Fubara. All right. So how do we ensure? It's your party, by the way. that the PDP becomes, if you like, a united front again, as it used to be before now in River State?
No, the truth is that it's only those that are profiting from the crisis that will not accept what the suspended governor said. That is the simple truth. Because, their source of, income has been blocked by the peace, deal. That means what they have been getting, what they are, using to sustain themselves and living the flamboyant life they are living will no longer be there. That is, it's only those of them that are profiting from, the crisis entrepreneurs that will not appreciate what the FCT minister has done and what the suspended governor and also the suspended speaker of the River State Assembly have done in trying to bring peace to the state, except those of them. Otherwise, every other person is happy that we have gotten to this level and we have passed the stage of having issues amongst us. And what the FCT minister said is the simple truth. Even sometimes you disagree with your parents, you disagree with your wife, you disagree with your friends, but you still come back. So what has happened is normal within the political space, that you disagree with someone, your political son or your political godfather, and you come back and reconcile and work together. So that statement the FCT minister made is, yes, that is how it is. It's a true, correct statement, and we commend him for opening his arm to welcome the FCT minister. So the suspended governor, and also commend the suspended speaker of the House of Assembly for accepting the peace deal and welcoming the suspended governor back, because they suffered. They were denied their salaries, and their family has gone through a lot of pain. So for them to also accept him is something that I want to commend Honorable Martins Amelwe for that action. And also, as I said, it is only crisis entrepreneurs that will not like what is happening right now. Otherwise, it's one of the most beautiful thing that has happened in River State in recent times.
All right, let's quickly hit another break now at this point, everyone. The conversation just gets interesting every other time with the People's Democratic Party. However, behind this short break, we'll be looking at the Saraki-led, if you like, panel or committee that was set up a while ago with a specific mandate. The question is, how exactly is it faring and what impact is it making in light of this humongous task that it has been saddled with? More coming shortly. Stay with us. All right, so I want to take you back a little. I mean, you and I were also in this studio, right on this program. We talked about the committee led by former Senate President, former Governor of Kwara State. Set up to say, let's look at those people who feel aggrieved. And on the basis of that, left this party, how do we bring them back, reconcile them, and then get this party to be as strong again as it used to be? Talk to our viewers about how much of progress or otherwise that committee is making.
Well, I want to say that Senator Saraki is a political enigma. We commend him for what he's doing. His committee has started work earnestly, and I can say that today the peace we have achieved so far most especially regards the national secretaryship of our party, the Anyanwu issue, can also be attributed to some extent to his committee for standing by the Constitution and the truth and the Supreme Court judgment. So the Saraki-led committee is doing a lot in trying to ensure that, one, those that are willing and ready to listen to the truth, and those that are ready and truly lost PDP, to plead with them that, say, whatever grievances you have, all of us at one point or the other have been denied of one opportunity or the other. Even myself, I seated here. So please don't leave. And some of them listen and they have remained in the party. Some of them are thinking about it, that has already left. And for those that say they don't want to leave, I mean, for those that want to leave no matter the intervention, he has said it that, please, if you want to do that, leave quick so we can sit down and rebuild the party, those of us that believes in this party. And, you know, Saraki has the experience. So that's why when he advised some of them, they take it, because he has once left the party and he has seen it, and he has discovered that the only party in this country is the PDP. And that's why he's putting extra effort to make sure that the party is united and the party starts, and he's going around without making noise. And that is one thing we commend. And I also want to say that you see, Saraki is a very strong character, politically speaking. And to the extent he was denied, he's the only senior president, history has it in Nigeria, there is the only senior president that has been denied the title of, is it CFRO or GCON, because of his political, you know, sagacity, saying that no, as a legislator, put the executive arm of this nation on his toes. Today has been denied. I want to even use this platform to plead with the president to, just like others, give Saraki that title that he deserves, which is it GC?
That's the national honor.
Yes, the national honor. He was deprived because of he put the, you know, executive arm of this country on his toes. So that is to tell you the character of the person that is leading the reconciliation. He has the capacity, he has the experience, he has the sagacity to handle such committee, and he's doing it in line with the Constitution and very well.
Okay, great. You know, a while ago you said your party is coming back and that the PDP is not dead. In fact, you even said that the PDP, as it stands today, has already been made clear by the acting national chairman and the national secretary, is not ready to go into any form of coalition. Instead, the PDP is interested ultimately in collaboration, some sort of partnership, and the PDP is wide open for those who want to come in to join and support the party, make it stronger, and all of that. Two questions in one. First, is the PDP saying that from a place of ego? That's number one, because some people say the PDP is still living in its past glory of 1999 to 2015. Number two is, the APC seems to be 3 steps, maybe more steps ahead of the PDP as it stands right now, because people are asking, hold on a second, what exactly is the APC telling sitting, duly elected governors of the PDP that's making them to move?
Now, let me thank you very much for this question. You see, PDP is not living in its past glory, and it is not ego. It is PDP believes, and that is the reality on ground. Nigerians loves that party called People's Democratic Party because it's a people's party. And what the people want is not just coming to file alliance for the purpose of taking power. PDP is putting his house in order to ensure that we don't just take power, or we take power and change the lives of Nigerians and make Nigerians smile the way they smiled and became the happiest people on earth during our 16 years in power. That is what PDP is looking at. It's not a matter of ego. That's why if it's ego, we'll not even collaborate with people. We say we'll do collabo. If you want to collaborate with us, we'll do. But we cannot crash our name, because it's an household name today in this country. It's like somebody tell you, come, let's do this thing, and you change your name. No, PDP wants Nigeria wants PDP to remain, not just PDP members. Nigerian, political Nigerians want PDP to remain. Most times, Nigerians that vote us to power. It's not just PDP members. Nigerians go out, and I want to salute Nigerians for the support they've given us all these years. Now, talking about what the APC is telling sitting governors and so on to join them. Well, APC cannot tell ordinary Nigerians to join them because they know ordinary Nigerians don't have reason to join them. That is the simple truth. They know this guy spoke with an APC friend that is from Adamawa State, and we were just gisting, and he said, see, if they don't do anything, he cannot even campaign for his party. He only campaign for himself, not for even the president, not for even the APC candidate, because the insecurity in his state and the Northeast is beyond what we hear on the news. People, today you go to the market, tomatoes that is 3,000, today is about 15,000 a basket in Abuja here. What is the issue? Insecurity. So they cannot tell Nigerians anything. They can only tell those that maybe they have their dossiers to show that if you don't join us, you fail, you go to jail and stuff like that, and people want to join them. Otherwise, let APC go and talk to ordinary Nigerians and tell them, come and join, they'll spit on them. Because Nigerians know what they are going through, the sufferings they are going through. And that's why they are crying and pleading with PDP. Please, put your house in order and come back to power. We know what we have compared. You know, until you marry second wife, you not appreciate what the first wife has been doing. PDP, Nigerians are married to us. They did not appreciate the fact that we are taking good care of them. Until when they married the APC, they now said, no, this is a wrong one. We want the first wife, so they are pleading with us. And we really appreciate Nigerians for that, and we are assuring them that we'll do our best to make sure that PDP bounce back. This is 2027.
Yes, this hypothesis, I like to call it, that you just presented, for many Nigerians does not hold water, because they'll tell you that the PDP lost the election in 2015. So if you say they tried the APC and it didn't work, they're coming back to the PDP, how is it that by 2019, at the time where former President Buhari had done 4 years in office, the APC still won the election? And in 2023, the APC again, this time with different candidates altogether, now President Bola Tinubu won election again. So from where does the PDP, your party, derive the confidence that it will win in the 2027 general election?
See, there are two elections that we did not lose, the 2015 and 2019.
Why is that?
And I'll tell you, if you look at the 2015, despite the, the betrayal from some political family from the north, the party, the president then, in the interest of peace, gave out that office. Not because, believe you me, not because the PDP did not win that 2015 general election. The president, rather the former president, has said it, even to the extent how the former president of America interfered with the internal politics of this country. He has said it. So we shouldn't judge PDP based on that election. And we know the former president is a peace-loving person. So he sacrificed himself, the office, the party, for the peace and for the peace of this nation. That is about 2015. 2019, we also know from every report that came out and everything that the PDP did very well. The PDP did very well. But no matter how you do very well, what is recognized is the pronouncement of INEC. Just like they say, majority have their way, minority have their say. So INEC has pronounced them. And we know the issue we have with our electoral system. You know about the glitch. It only happened in the presidential election. What happened about the other elections? Suddenly it started working. If today we transmit our result electronically, not manually, I assure you PDP will come back to power. Electronically, not manually. And that's why the president sacrificed himself by ensuring that there is amendment to Electoral Act, which they were celebrating that the Electoral Act, that we signed as a party under PDP leadership has removed us. No. we meant well for Nigeria, and that is what it means. We want a progressive Nigeria, we want a peaceful Nigeria, we want a Nigeria whereby every citizen's vote will count. So it shouldn't be seen as a weakness, but rather a strength and a commendable one at that.
It's interesting. I'm curious now. We just mentioned former President Goodluck Jonathan in person, and you also have former Senate President David Mark, a man who has been adjudged to be the longest-serving Senate President in the history of this country, especially in this Fourth Republic. How is it that those two gentlemen have become inactive, in a manner of speaking, in your party? Because these are two heavyweights, one from the North Central, the other from the South-South.
No, you see, they are not inactive, most especially the former Senate President. Not that they are inactive. They don't come to the media to talk like some other persons that come to the media to always make noise. It does not mean they are not doing what they need to do or they are inactive. They may decide to stay off the media, but we believe that they are doing their best off the camera or behind the camera. So I will not consider that as inactivity. And I will not consider it that because some of the persons that even come to media and talk frequently cannot even, deliver their states, not even their local government in elections. They just see the media as a platform to make themselves known. But go to their ground, to their wards, go to their local government, go to the state. They've not been able to make the party that popular. They've not been able to, make PDP victorious in any election. So we shouldn't judge inactivity or activity based on the appearances of media alone. No, we shouldn't do that.
I asked that question because we understand from records, the news is very clear on this, that former Senate President David Mark is not only a very central part of the coalition talks, he is likely, from what we hear, going to lead this coalition. So how then do you say a man like that is still in your party and active?
No, you see, he has not come up to say yes. If you see, we hear rumor that he's the chairman, interim chairman of this, interim chairman of that, but he has not come to say that, yes, I've accepted it. He has not said that. And I want to respect that fact, and as I said, he's still with our party and he's doing his best within the party. I will not come up to assume or presume that he has been appointed. People use people's name to do. Remember once they say, the mark is this, the mark is that. He has said it one time like that he's the last man standing in PDP. And I believe that word because he said it.
Have politicians ever kept such words, such promises?
No, we have unfortunately, we have politicians that don't keep to their promises, but fortunately, to some extent, we have some, very few, that when they say something, they keep to it. We have some of them. We shouldn't generalize to the point that no politician, no, we have some of them that when they say a word, they do their best to keep to it.
The People's Democratic Party in this country had issues with the 2015 general election. Of course, that was the one that Dr. Goodluck Jonathan lost, all right? They picked holes. Well, maybe we should subject that to some debate or something. Yes. In 2019, your party also picked holes in the outcome of the election. And in 2023, up till this point, your party keeps saying that they never lost that election. Of course, we've heard former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, your flag bearer in that party, talk about that time and again. Of course, as is always the case, they heaped the entire blame on the Independent National Electoral Commission. Two things. What is the, as they say in business, competitive advantage that the PDP is taking into 2027 election? And should it, just for the purpose of this conversation, turn out not to be in favor of the PDP, what will your party blame again?
No, you see, the 2023, if you notice when you asked the other question, I didn't include the 2023, and I did it for a reason. And the reason is because the party failed to abide by its constitution section 7.3c.
That's 2023.
2023. That's why I didn't include it when I was talking about we did lose 2015 and 2019, but that one I didn't include it because one, what led to we losing the 2023 election is because we did not abide by our constitution. That is what led to it. The problem of we losing the 2023 presidential election was can be traced to PDP failing to abide by the zoning principle of our constitution. If you want to zone it to the south, zone it to the south. If you want to zone it to the north, zone it to the north. Don't throw it open. We have credible persons, people with good character, integrity in the north. We also have people with good character, integrity, and political sagacity in the south. So it is not an issue on a question of, no, we want the best. In everywhere we have the best. So it should be zoned to the south because we had a president from the north for 8 years. It should be zoned to the south. Believe you me, would have been in power today. But the party paid a blind eye to that section 7(3)(c) of our constitution. So what do you expect? People will be aggrieved. The south will shortchange. That is the issue. So then you talked about if we should lose what competitive advantage, and that is what the leadership of the party is doing, to try and ensure that we unite our party. That is our major bone of contention. Get everybody on board, because in the aspect of Nigerians are just waiting for us. Immediately we put our acts together, I'm assuring you that Nigerians will queue behind PDP. That is about that. Then, if we lose the 2027 presidential election, we are not blaming anybody. Definitely we look at ourselves. That what has gone wrong? Why didn't we get it? We know all these months we have been struggling, internal issues. Is that the issue that led to it? We'll be able to examine. But I believe that we'll be able to bounce back and do very well in the come 2027 with this, having resolved this issue of the national secretaryship of our party. I know one or two disgruntled persons will definitely rear their ugly heads, but that will not stop us from making progress as regards the party and 2027.
Your party has sadly so, history of flouting its own rules based on your constitution. How does the PDP intend to disrupt that culture?
No, that is what they started by recognizing the fact that Anya will remain the national secretary, because that is the issue he was fighting. That no, I'm not crazy about being the national secretary. I'm not too keen about that. What I'm keen about is that let it not be that PDP is known or continuously to be known as a party that flouted its constitution because one or two power governors that have resource their state resources at their disposal will want to change the rules at the middle of the game. No, that was what Anya was right, and that's why young people of the party should commend him to have fought to this extent to ensure that we don't have a retrogressive reference in the future. Because people would have said, if the constitution said this, why the Anya was removed? So he was fighting for the young people of the party. He was fighting for justice. He was fighting for constitutionality, not for himself to remain as national secretary. How many months? He has been there for 3 years. Just few months, that is what will make him go crazy? No. But this should not, illegality should not prevail over legality. Unconstitutionality should not prevail over constitutionality. That is what he's fighting for. And that is why he won. Because he's on the side of the law.
Let's begin to tie things up now. With the benefit of hindsight, you are a very ranking member of the PDP. Do you think your party regrets allowing influential figures like Peter Obi to leave?
Definitely, we'll definitely feel...
Do you think you could have handled that situation better going into the 2023 election?
We would have handled it better by zoning the presidency to the south. If it was zoned to the south, we know that, yes, Peter Obi wouldn't have left the party. People are saying it is because of this person, it is because of that person. I don't think so. I feel that the former governor of Anambra State saw that the presidency is not being zoned to the south. So what should I remain and be doing there? If it's only south, then. And that's why most people will want to blame the former vice president that why can't you make that sacrifice of saying, no, let it go to the south? But some of his, minders will come up and say, he said if it's zoned to the southeast, PDP zones its position to either the north or the south.
So the leadership of that zone now microzones.
Microzones. That is how we operate. That is the convention. That is the constitution. They don't zone it to this southeast. No. When they bring the argument, it's very feeble to me because it is not south. So by the time you zone it to the south, the leadership in the south can say, okay, let's zone it to the southeast or south or southwest. But not that, why didn't they would have, if they zone it to the southeast, it wouldn't have contested. That is just to deceive the people. Not the true position of things. He would have said, okay, zone it to the south. As an influential leader of the party, you now follow it up. Go and approach your loyalists in the south that we should put this thing to southeast. That is how it should be done if you genuinely wanted it to be zoned to the south.
Right. Well, this is an ongoing issue. Incidentally, you will be leaving the studio this morning to attend the expanded caucus meeting of the People's Democratic Party here in the nation's capital this morning. I've been talking with Dabo Kiabo Warmits. Is a ranking member of the PDP, a chieftain of the party specifically, and is also the convener of the PDP League, helping us to find sense and context in what has happened in the party the last couple of weeks and what exactly it will take into the 2027 general election. We'd like to say thank you to you for your time.
Thank you for having me
this morning. We're taking a break now. Shortly, Ogochukwu Mobodo will be here with Social Buzz. Behind that, myself and Juma Manson will tie up the show for you this morning. Do stay with us.
Good morning, the Global Morning crew, and good morning to you, our esteemed viewers. I am Ogochukwu Mobodo. Today on Social Buzz, we're going to be looking at a trending story on the internet. Like the popular saying goes, integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. A tricycle rider in Aba has earned praises after returning a whopping 4 million naira forgotten in his keke by a businesswoman. The incident reportedly happened earlier today around Ariaria Junction. And according to witnesses, the woman had boarded the keke with the cash but forgot the money after dropping off. The rider, upon discovering the money, traced her back and returned it without hesitation. Wow, that's really applauding in this day, Nigeria. Well, let's take a look at this video.
1 naira. Don't take 1 naira. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm 1 naira. Manager for 4 million a year. He's a tricycle man. Someone forgot this money on his tricycle. It's about 4 million naira. He's the woman that has the money. Here is in Aba. Look at the money. See him having the money on his head. There are still good people in life. He's a tricycle rider. Look at the owner of the money here. You can see it. This is happening live in Ariaria Junction.
Oh wow, that's really, really impressive. We could see praises and even prayers raining on this very young man. Honestly, to be very honest, in our present day Nigeria, how many keke riders or even bus drivers or even private taxi riders will actually return such an amount of money in this day Nigeria, where everyone is looking for money, and money kind of answers it a lot. In fact, all things at this moment, and that money is really, really huge. 4 million naira. At this point, we'll be asking ourselves, do people like this still exist in Nigeria? Are they still good people? But definitely they are good peoples, because you know, a lot of persons have really done bad. A lot of persons steal, and then we just conclude in our hearts that there are no good people in this country. But this person has proven a lot of people wrong, that yes, there are actually good people who exist in the country and can actually do well to return such an amount of money. We've seen different cases, but this one, the money is just so big, so we just have to escalate it because it's 4 million naira. We've heard cases of 50,000 naira, even 20 naira on the floor, 50 naira. We've seen different skits. People drop money just to know if there are any good person around that could actually pick that money and return back to them. Some, they fail to return, take the money and go their way, while some do return. But this one, 4 million naira in a very busy environment. We all should know Aba. Aba is a very busy environment. It's a marketplace. The area is like a marketplace, and anything can happen. But we are so happy that it was the keke rider that actually discovered this money. What if it was a passenger sitting behind? Will this passenger return this money, or will the passenger actually communicate with the rider, with the driver, that CEO, I'm seeing 4 million naira and I don't know who owns it? You know, gone are the days where people reject money when they see it on the floor or see it anywhere because they feel like, oh, I'm going to stump to a yam or something else. But this time people just take the money because everyone is in need of money. Well, we'll be taking some comments from social media, and our first comment is coming from Gordon's P. And Gordon's P says, God has visited him, and he has been lifted from keke ride to be a car owner and a house owner. Gordon's is like you want to actually gift him a car. Well, I know a lot of persons in the comment section, and even people there raining praises on him were like, oh, finally, God has visited you. You're going to be having a car. Oh, someone will just come out from the comment section and say, please get me the phone number of this man or his account number. I want to gift him something. If that's the case, then congratulations to that humble keke rider. The second comment today is from Ola Edison, and Ola says, this one is the real proof of honesty. Not those ones that will receive money in their accounts that cannot be traced. To be very honest, I know a lot of you must have done wrong transfer to a different account until today you've still not received that money back. Is it the fault of the bank, or is the fault of the person who is holding the money, or must have even withdrawn the money? A lot of persons will tell you, if I mistakenly see 3 billion naira right now in my account, I will not even let anybody know. I'll just go and withdraw. Whether they know the person who actually dropped that 3 million naira there or not, they will first of all withdraw it and let everybody start doing their search. Is it the police? Is it the bank? Or whoever wants to do their search. But by that time, I must have, gotten some things. Well, the last but not the least comment today is coming from Noni Jenny. And Noni says, a good name is better than silver and gold. Wow, this is big. This is what our parents mostly tell us all the time. Good name is better than wealth, is better than riches. But in this present day Nigeria, would you prefer good name to wealth? I don't know what your answer is. So I just want us to, be part of this conversation and drop our comments on the using the global TV NG handles you're seeing right now, the social media handles you're seeing right now. Drop your comments and make sure that you're part of this conversation, as I'll be leaving you in the hands of the Global Morning crew and as Global Morning continues.
All right, at about this point, we have to wrap it up on the program Global Morning. Hope you've been well abreast and you've had an amazing time with us when it comes to issues making round from politics,